Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Why, hello everyone. I am Katie Patrick, and I am joined, as I always am, by the man, David Fiorazzo.
Hello.
David,
Hello.
You've had a busy morning already.
Yes.
You had some worldviews, and they
Busy
mattered.
week.
Busy week. It will be a busy week. It was a busy yesterday and today and tomorrow. So what happened today, though, on Worldview
Today,
Matters?
Dr. Andy Woods. We talked about the Islamic invasion of Israel, and we talked about the Middle East meltdown. He's a pastor out of Texas, one of my favorite Bible teachers, Dr. Andy Woods. Yesterday, we had an Aussie, Dean Dwyer from Australia, great pastor there. But you can please go to worldviewmatters.tv and subscribe. If you've downloaded the Freedom Project app, you can get to the daily podcast. But worldviewmatters.tv, we're really trying to get the word out and get subscribers there. So thanks for your support on that.
All right. Well, also, just a quick reminder that if you enjoy watching videos, and especially those videos that are not censored, then please follow our Rumble channel. All you have to do to get to it is go to rumble.com/Freedom Project, and then, do that little button click thing where you say follow.
Button click thing.
Button click thing. There, followed. All done. Good to go. Now, just in case you didn't know, there are a majority of college students who now believe Muslim extremists would be wonderful, Christian-loving people if the Jews would simply just leave Israel. That's all it takes, David. That's just one little thing. And here comes our college population.
One of the things we have been talking about on Worldview Matters as well, this is a very important issue because at the college level, the universities are so stinking programmed and indoctrinated. They don't know our history. They don't know world history. They don't know the land layout over there in Israel. They don't understand how tiny. If you look at the Muslim nations surrounding Israel, Israel's about the size of New Jersey. So it's like a speck when you talk about all this other land and all the massive areas around it. And to say that Israel is colonizing the Middle East, this is ignorance at a historic level. So this story, a Harvard-Harris poll, CAPS, Harris poll, I should say, found that support for Israel is 95% if you're 65 and older. All right? Now, if you're in the 18 to 24-year-old age range, over half, 52%. So why the huge difference in who supports Israel? Well, Katie, what we're seeing is a generational difference. I want to get your thoughts on that before we go on here.
Well, you basically, when you look at these two graphs, these two questions that they were asking, it really shows the inability of the younger generation, the 18 to 24-year-olds, that's what we're talking about, the college-age students, to understand, something greater than the question. They can't make the connection. So what they said is, do you think Hamas is designated as a terrorist group by the U.S. government, or is that not the case? All right, so Hamas, terrorist group. Yes, no. Now, when you take a look at the second question then, they want to know, in general, in this conflict, do you side more with Israel or Hamas? So you have to answer both of those questions in the same way, but they are able to answer them completely divergent from each other. So in general, the people who are 18 to 24, 52% are favoring Israel over Hamas. But then you look at the other question asking, do you think Hamas is designated as a terrorist group by the U.S. government? Is that just not the case? You have 64% saying they are designated, but the thing is that more than a third of them say they are not designated a terrorist group.
There's where the ignorance comes in.
Yeah, if you are like, well, I'm for Israel, it'd be interesting to see the side by side of each person answering those questions. Because if you're saying that you support for Israel, but Hamas is not a terrorist group,
there's a little disconnect there.
A little disconnect.
Yeah.
They don't truly understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And part of it may be the fact that, you talk about not knowing the history. Well, you say the word history and they get triggered because it's his
Oh boy,
story.
Don't even go down that road. We've got a video. We'll come back. We'll talk about it. Watch this.
There is certainly an enormous gap here. When we look at the American public, and we got a poll back last Friday, the Harris poll, it showed that Americans support Israel 84, Hamas 16. But when you go to college-age kids, 52% support Israel, 48% support Hamas. Compared to those over 65, it's 95-5. And then when I probe deeper, wow, are these college-age kids misinformed? 45% believe, that the Israel bombed the hospital. Most believe Iran is not behind everything. They are in another world when it comes to information, far removed from reality. When they say from the river to the sea, they're talking about the annihilation of the Jewish state, of 9 million people, something most of them don't even support when you ask them in the poll, but they're out there chanting things that they don't understand. There's an enormous disconnect because the information base, as you say, Martha, do they really understand the Holocaust? Do they understand what happened to World War II? Do they understand how Israel was formed and what the Jewish people are and how it is their homeland? No, it doesn't appear that they have the basic facts compared to the older generation. Yeah. The younger generation, remember, didn't even live through 9/11. They don't even have a basic understanding of terrorism.
I think that's a key point right there at the end, too, is something to remember is it is 2023. 2001 was 22 years ago. I can do math.
Some of these kids were babies.
Some of these kids were babies or not even. And so there is a little bit of disconnect, and it's a matter of truly understanding what has happened in our past to get us where we are. And if we don't alter what happened in our past as we move forward, guess what's going to happen? When?
Well, it's not going to happen. And I usually I'm an optimist, but we're talking about this deep indoctrination of ignorance on the college campus today level. Did you see that? I mean, even the headlines, there's tension on college campuses. Well, why? We're in America. Who created that tension? The lies that have been spewed about Palestine versus Israel. But I want to emphasize something that he said. When they're chanting from the river to the sea, what they mean is they want all the land for, quote, the Palestinians. Wipe Israel out, annihilate the Jews. This is what Hitler wanted to do. This is what others have tried to do throughout our history. I also want to mention that the general public is not with the college campuses. The general public is not with the Democrat media, because I did an article over on my website. Most Americans distrust the media and support Israel. So you can go look at the numbers and the percentages, and that was a Gallup poll that came out. It talked about media distrust as well, where you can get good information. But go check this out, because there's who has the loudest voices? The media does and the left does. So they're going to report, of course, on the college campuses on a certain way that the average American would say, wow, I didn't realize there were that many people that hate Israel in America. But it's not. It's that age range, and it's only the ones who have been deceived.
Well, and part of so the media wants to be influencing the younger generations because they want to get them. But at the same time, because these younger generations have actually seen that there is such a distrust in the media, then these younger generations are turning to other sources of information who then are misguided, because these other sources of information include like TikTok.
Oh,
like that's who's informing them, just random people on the internet.
God help us.
And so we are just out of luck, we'll say. You can put any describing word before that, but we were out of luck on this one.
All right, still to come. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis tells universities to terminate all student organizations that support Hamas terrorism. Yay, we're talking about that next.
As much as the media tries and tries and tries to take down Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he still rises above the rest, and he's out there doing, things that leaders would do.
Fact check true.
Thank you.
I just took one of your lines.
Yes, you did. Now, he took a look, Ron DeSantis did, at what Harvard student groups were doing to support Hamas and their terrorist ways, and he's basically saying, no way. Down here in Florida. Yep. And so DeSantis, in coordination with the chancellor of the state's university system, has moved to crack down on student groups in the state. and especially, any of the ones who have said that, we support Hamas terrorism. Go Hamas terrorism. Woo. That's my little flag. They're waving.
Okay. You're waving the flag.
And that involves terminating the student groups. See how we're talking about like termination on like the human level when we're talking about with the Jews and Hamas and all that, and now we're terminating these student chapters and suspending the school administrators. Ooh, let's take a look at what's happening.
Florida's University System Chancellor Ray Rodriguez sent this memo to university presidents on Tuesday upon Governor Ron DeSantis' request. It is telling colleges to disband chapters of Students for Justice in Palestine from their campuses. In the letter, Rodriguez specifically pulls this quote from the national group's declaration, quote, "Palestinian students in exile are part of the movement, not in solidarity with the movement." It appears UF has a chapter on its campus. There's also a Facebook or Meta group for Students for Justice in Palestine at UNF, but that has not been active since 2019, and the organization is not currently listed as a student group there. There is also a chapter at USF, which held an emergency rally yesterday. Liali Shalabi was a former president of the campus's group there and says this move by the governor is an attack on free speech.
I think that we need to take things as they are, and I think it is very irresponsible to label a group of college students something like terrorists.
Well, it's attack on free speech, Katie, but what is the speech that they are spewing and espousing?
Yeah, well, they are also in support of terrorists. How
Yeah.
Free speech, now we call free speech. It's not the same as what you are arguing, dear college student. Well, Ray Rodriguez, as you heard about, is the chancellor of the State University System of Florida. And in that letter, he also wrote, during a holy Jewish holiday, the recognized terrorist organization Hamas launched an unprovoked attack on Israel. Among those killed were babies, women, and elderly.
True.
To date, approximately 1,400 Israelis have been killed, including 31 American citizens.
True.
Governor DeSantis, our state university system, and the Florida college system have condemned these attacks.
Thank you.
Just simple facts should be all you need to be like, I get what we're doing and why we're doing this. This makes sense. But no, college students still don't understand.
And, we do want to say there are some college students that are just intimidated into silence. They're not going to speak up, even though they feel like, okay, this is wrong what they're doing. They're supporting terrorism. They're supporting the murder of Jewish people and wiping out the race. But they're afraid to speak up. In a way, I don't blame them, because it's this mob mentality. The mobs on college campuses that can be very intimidating.
Well, and we've talked about those who speak loudest are the ones who are heard and actions happen. So all you have to do, you can be an agitator. You can just be out there spewing whatever nonsense you want to spew, and you'll be heard, because the media is like, oh, there they are. I'll listen to them, because they're yelling about things that the media also agrees with.
Yep.
So that's why all the attention gets put on it, and then it just grows and grows and grows. All the things. But that's okay. We're going to go on to someone who is actually changing his heart, you might say. Longtime television host and liberal pundit Bill Maher had stunned his audience after he made a bold statement about today's modern college campus, kind of like what we do here all the time. We're going to talk about it next.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED. EDUCATED. Support this show and a great American company.
So Bill Maher, I think, needs to be given an award for taking the longest amount of time to swallow his red pill, but yet he's still like ingesting it little by little.
Yeah, I wouldn't say swallowed it yet.
Yeah, he hasn't swallowed it yet, but there's like, a little bit got in there. Because Bill Maher, if you don't know him, late night talk show host, I guess, whatever. It's called Real Time with Bill Maher. always a liberal, always putting out his viewpoints. He brings on guests from both sides, but then he likes to have if you're even a little bit to the right, get laughed at by his audience. Haha, it's so funny.
But even a broken clock is right twice a day.
You are correct, sir. And that's kind of what's been happening more and more frequently in the past
With Maher?
2
Yeah, it's interesting.
years-ish. And he just had another doozy where he came out and basically said, kids. He called kids.
The crowd was stunned.
Yeah, the kids are college students, technically are adults, but kids. Nonetheless, you shouldn't go to college.
Well, what's his reasoning, though?
You check out what his reasoning is.
And finally, new rule as an Ivy League graduate who knows the value of a liberal education, I have one piece of advice for the youth of America. Don't go to college. And if you absolutely have to go, don't go to an elite college, because as recent events have shown, it just makes you stupid. There are few, if any, positives to come out of what happened in Israel, but one of them is opening America's eyes to how higher education has become indoctrination into a stew of bad ideas, among them the simplistic notion that the world is a binary place where everyone is either an oppressor or oppressed. In the case of Israel, oppressors being babies and bubbas. The same students who will tell you that words are violence and silence is violence were very supportive when Hamas terrorists went on a rape and murder rampage worthy of the Vikings. They knew where to point the fingers at the murdered, and then it was off to ethics class. 34 student groups at Harvard signed a letter that said the apartheid regime is the only one to blame, proving they don't know what constitutes apartheid. They don't know much of anything, actually. But it doesn't deter them from having an opinion. They've convinced themselves Israel is the most repressive regime in history because they have no knowledge of history or even a desire to know it. And actual history doesn't come up in their intersectionality of politics and genderqueer identities class.
Katie, they don't know much of anything, but that doesn't deter them from having an opinion.
That is correct. Bill Maher.
Good.
Bill Maher has been watching our show. I didn't know it, but
He's
you, Bill.
secretly watching Educated.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, let's chat. Let's have a talk. I'll go on the panel. Would you like to go on the panel?
Yeah.
We'll go on
So
the panel.
don't
Call us
go
in.
to college. It's. I think more people are catching on, and he did say, I never took him for an optimist, but that's one of the things, one of the positives, if there could be a positive out of the slaughter in Israel in early October, is that more people are waking up and they're seeing now the radicalized universities in America and going, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yes, but in the words of Phil Collins, this is your wake-up call. Don't, let it miss it all, or you'll miss it all. I can't remember the lyrics, but this is your wake-up call. It's a fun song. Anyway, the problem we have, though, is we keep waking up and falling asleep immediately, like 2 seconds later. So it's kind of like we're not even really awake
Well, after
yet.
9/11, it took like 6 months maybe for us to fall back asleep. So that wasn't bad.
Yeah. So we'll see if we're going to stay awake on this one. But this just clearly points even back to talking about how the percentage of people understanding like Israel versus Hamas, like the younger generations do not know their history. They do not understand. Bill Maher, at this point, you got to consider him an old guy, right? And even though he calls himself a liberal, he can't keep up with how far left if you want to say his party of the Democrats has gone. His ideology is liberal thinking, but at the same time, he's still thinking. And so that's the difference between being a liberal and just being a leftist, is the actual thinking and understanding. So Bill Maher's an old guy. He's lived through how many different attacks and what has happened. So he understands, Hamas is a terrorist group. Israel is not in the wrong for what they're doing to defend their people.
Yep.
That's it, plain and simple. Bill Maher, again.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Have your people call our people. We are our people, so just give us a call. All right, well, still to come, we have a 28-year-old architect in London who has found an incredibly unique way to live in a very expensive city for just pennies on the dollar, or if you're over there, it'd be on the quid. Just pennies on the quid, You've heard of tiny homes, haven't you, David?
Yes.
Yes, well.
This is taking that to the next level.
Yeah,
though.
get ready for the skip house. That's what they're calling it. That's next.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the Freedom Project Media app. It's 100% free. and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
All right, this is interesting. The tiny houses, we've all seen them. Most of us probably couldn't live in them. Convenience, yes. Cheap, yes. But I want to go to this 28-year-old in London. He pays $62 a month to live in, well, it was or is a dumpster, but he built it up, took $5,000 to do it. And we're going to take a look inside because it's part of this, just the thought of living in something like this. I mean, you got to be 20 years old, maybe. But those of us, that are older or with families, look at that and go, how? Anyway, you don't know what I'm talking about until you see it. Watch.
A skip is a British term for dumpster. They're basically just big metal boxes for waste. It is where I live full time. I know there's some people that think, oh, you must have a house down the road. I mean, I wish I did. Looking for a place in London is a nightmare. And it's just insane how the prices just keep creeping up higher and higher and higher. I designed it and put together a proposal document which I was sending out to different organizations. One of the organizations I reached out to is called Anti-Pavilion. It's an arts-based charity and they had access to this site and were the ones who gave me permission to use it, and doing so free of charge as well. The project cost me about £4,000, which covers all the materials and furnishings inside, so my mattress, storage, etc. It took about 3 weeks of solid construction to build. I built it all myself and I had friends helping, throughout that time. So this is the entrance, a little bit awkward climb up into the space, but not too bad. Fridge is tiny. Almost pointless. Apparently you can have 8 beers in there, small beers maybe. For water, I just refill this every few days. I don't have a shower. I go to the gym or to work to shower there, which is actually not too bad. I'm at work Monday to Friday anyway, so that's fine.
So he goes to the gym to shower.
Or his work. He's
at
a
work.
little bit of a mooch, a little bit. But
so I'm wondering about the land that he's on.
Great landscaping.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got a corner lot,
Yeah, I'm wondering. He must pay property taxes or rent too.
Great
I guess
question.
The $62 a month. What is that for? Didn't really go into detail there. He says he has not been charged for it yet because he rents the dumpster from a waste management company.
So maybe they don't have his address. Is that an official address then? Maybe they can't find him.
Mike, our producer, was wondering where he gets his power from. Well, he's got his phone, he's got the internet. But what about that little mini fridge? And he's got, looks like a little, what do you call that? Not a crock pot, a little stove thing. That's not a
single
stove.
Burner?
Burner,
He's
the
got
little
a
burner.
single
Yeah.
burner.
So you've got to have a little bit of electricity in there. Anyway, Katie.
Yes.
Way back when you were in your late teens, early 20s.
Ouch.
Way back. It's back for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, could you have even thought about living in a place, if that place was in a safe neighborhood, could you have lived in something
Absolutely,
like that?
Because my husband and I, my husband,
really?
The one who is very, very, very tall, is the one who wanted to live in a tiny home. Just to save the money.
Like a real tiny home?
Like a tiny home, not a skip house, I guess. Not a dumpster. Dumpster fire. But he wanted to live in a tiny home, and I'm tiny. So for me, doesn't bother me the least. However, we have kids now, and no thank you. I'm okay. We have a small enough house, but it's big enough. And it's cozy. But it's not It's not that cozy. Not that cozy.
Well,
We have a
I wouldn't
shower.
even use the word cozy in any context.
That's how they.
when you're talking about that little
try
skip
and make an
house.
ad for that right now. Try and make an ad, a real estate ad for this. If you're looking for an upgrade to your current cardboard box,
If you want a
we have a
closet that you can
dumpster
put
for
anywhere,
you.
yeah,
We have the best home for you.
Yeah.
Would you ever have considered that?
Nope.
Okay, see,
Nope.
simple answer for you. That's what we know.
No.
What do you think? Let us know. And also, don't forget that you can catch Educated on the go by subscribing on your favorite audio podcast platform. And don't forget to download the Freedom Project Media app. Now, for David and myself, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting this show. Until next time, stay educated.